I think when I talk to people in the industry, right, like there are people in different ends of the spectrum, right? I would say that there are probably 5-10% people at most. I would say maybe 5% people are like they're early adopters, pushing the boundaries, bringing in agents in front of their customers, their employees, autonomous systems, you name it, right? And in some cases, they're willing to take that risk because the outcome is there. So it's not like their journeys have been perfect, right? Like it's just that they were willing to push the boundaries, take the risk, and they're reaping the rewards around it, right? Uh, we got lucky that we got to work with some of those companies, right? The others are it's like from an adoption technology adoption perspective, it's easy. You're using AI to build AI today, right? So you can build these things. What's actually holding them today is again the risk of something going wrong, risk of exposing that data. If you're a financial firm, the regulatory things that might be associated with the fines and things like that. If you're an EU AI Act, right? So they are looking for some experience from others. Like, how do I actually do this, right? And that's the biggest thing that's actually holding them to get things to production. Like literally, um, I was at the Dell Technology Week last week in New York City. About 150, 200 people were there. Less than probably 5% people raised their hand saying, oh, we have agents in production, right? And it's not like, I mean, these are people in large companies. They want to push the boundaries, but I think these things are actually holding them back, right? So what the way actually even Cequence is sort of giving back to the community there is effectively our learnings working with some of these pioneers in the space, right? Converting them into standards, right? We worked with CIS to uh, come up with MCP and AI related guidelines, right? We and that's available to the public right now. So these are kind of our experiences mapped into controls, right? That people can actually implement, right? Uh, we are working with TM Forum, which is one of the biggest communities around telco, right? Building open standards around it. So we are actually the co-chairs for the agentic AI security sort of wave around that, right? So building standard architectures and how do you safely adopt agentic AI into the setup. So, but I think people are waiting. I think us and others who are giving back to the community um, are sharing some of their experience in a standard templatized format that they can potentially adopt, right? And these are not like completely new things, like even the agentic zero trust or zero trust for AI agents is built on the similar structure and language that people are used to understanding in the past. Yes, there are new things around behavior and things like that, right? CIS controls in that framework is also kind of a standardized framework that people know they've followed in the past for the human-centered security. Now, how do I apply it to agents? It helps them put them under the same structure as well,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. I agree with that. It's interesting because the contribution to the security community is very important. That's what I enjoy about Cequence contribution out there. Helping to get the information out that we learn. And it's important to us too because we learn from what other
Yeah.
people's experiences are.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that allows for the security professionals to be able to move their programs a little bit forward is to get that information from others, get an understanding of what's
Yeah.
going on, allow for them to contribute. There's a lot of papers and research that is publicly open. It's when we start narrowing down who can participate in these
Yeah.
conversations. We only allow these people and then cite that, oh, there's only so many room out there. We live in a technology world where, if you can't make it physically, then there's
Yeah.
an opportunity to join remotely. And then
Yeah.
seeing some of this happening was just, for those that are interested, I'll share more in detail, but
Yeah.
not for this conversation. But let me pull it back again to what we talked about, the story about some of the things that are happening, the scenarios you shared, the Zendesk story that I
Yeah.
shared. Security professionals not in the room when somebody decided to implement something.
Yes.
There were no policies enforced. And so it's not just zero trust, but it goes into AI governance.
Yeah.
You know, the overall governance and what we can and put in place. And we're still trying to figure that out ourselves. You know, what policies should we enforce people to do? How do we control who gets access to what? You know, ideally we want to centralize, and that's part of the solution that we want to provide out there. And you know, the biggest concern is agents are running in production now with minimal visibility.
Yeah.
And we got to get better control in that. There's no real policy enforcement in place. There's probably logging to some extent.
Yeah.
And you know, what is the fastest way to get into that control? And that's why AI governance come into play. And I think tools that are being introduced like the AI Gateway helps get us there a little bit faster than most. But what I would like to do, maybe end this conversation on more on what's next. And so, you know, you earlier talked about multi-agent pipelines, agents spawning other agents, MCP proliferation, and the perimeter just keeps moving. So how are some of the technology that you see out there, including your own or Cequence own, helping to address that and get ahead of that?
Yeah, I think the way the world is moving around agents, right? Like first thing was people brought in ChatGPT Enterprise, Claude, Gemini onto their laptops, right? That's how the world around enterprise adoption actually started. Then people started like Cursor, Visual Studio Code, ChatGPT, like the whole GitHub, Copilot, and all those things is the next wave, the coding wave, right? Think of it that way, right? But they were all happening in your environment, right? They were happening inside your perimeter. Think of your laptop, which is managed by your enterprise and things like that. There was some visibility around that, right? The way the autonomous agents are actually moving, right? They are running inside containers. Think OpenClaw and think about like your standard security controls have no visibility into that, right? The second thing is things are moving into managed cloud environments. Like Anthropic has their own managed agent environment, right? Where these containers actually run and things like that. So to bring in governance, you have to think in a very holistic way, right? Second thing is doing something on the same endpoint as where the actually agent runs and it has full permissions to do anything, right? It's going to step over that governance layer very quickly, right? So having it outside of that agent, no matter where that agent actually sits, are the two fundamental things that you need to think about, right? As the world around this is adopting, right? It's going to run 24/7. So things that ran around, this human typically works 12 hours a day. So anything outside of that, outside of the geolocation of that user, none of that actually works anymore. It's going to run
not at human speed anymore.
Not at human speed. I could be doing certain tasks at like light speed, literally. So those 5-minute token expirations also are no longer good enough.
That's right.
Right. So those kinds of things as you're adopting agentic AI in your environment. And I think our vision around this is built on these experiences and the world is actually going. So having a gateway that is separate from the agent and where it's actually running, right? Every interaction going through that. So kind of trying to build a ring around the agent itself, right? No matter where that is. And then governing those agents from right there, effectively.
Yeah. I mean, I heard a little bit about your roadmap and you say vision, but you know, what I've learned today is that it's already built. I mean, you built it already. And so, you know, you've solved that problem that Anthropic published.
Yeah.
The framework around and before even Dr. Zero Trust put a name on it.
Yeah.
And so the three things that stood out is one, the model maker, Anthropic, an analyst, well-regarded analyst who defined that framework, and then the vendor or Cequence, all arrived at the same answer.
Yeah.
And you already had it, and they came out with that information. So you guys were already, or we were already there. So it's interesting to see that. It's I haven't been with a company that's done that. I mean, there's some people that said, "Oh, I had the vision, we were going to get there," but never a those three data points that align so well,
Yeah.
and that you can honestly say you're ahead of that curve. Which I think those two other data points are good curves.
No, thank you for that. I think part of it is our experience around the space and work fighting bots, um, seeing them behave certain ways compared to humans, all those things, and then us betting on the intent and the behavior helped us sort of bring in that knowledge, that experience into the space.
Yeah, that's great. So I think one of the other message I want to leave with the audience is there are agents running. They're out there. They have the credentials and they're calling APIs. And so most of you probably don't have the full visibility or control to be able to manage through that. And it's definitely not a 2027 initiative. It's a Monday morning problem. So for those that haven't yet, I highly recommend please read Shreyan's blog. Go to sequence.ai site, very easy to find, and read through that. And let us know if you have any questions. But Shreyans, thanks for this time. It's always great sitting down and chatting about stuff like this. I'm sure we have a few more things to talk
Yeah.
about after this one.
No. Thank you, Randy. Great conversation. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.